Men multipliers, welcome to part two with Larry White. It's been a good week to be able to pick his brain about finances. I know that, Larry, man, you are my go-to guy. I always tell you I can't imagine my world without you when it comes to business because I come to you for a lot. So let's talk about the difference between a controller and a CFO. This is something that I didn't understand. I figured if I had a good bookkeeper and CPA, I was good to go. So help guys understand what does a CFO do that your controller can't?
Well, it's interesting. I used to be a controller back in the day, and I was providing information to a CFO, and then the skill sets are completely different. If you only to make this really simple, to look at things almost like on a number line, is when you look at a controller, what they're dealing with is pure accounting transactions. Okay. What you're saying is the accountant is actually putting together your monthly financials or they do your monthly bookkeeping, and they're providing you the actual results of what history has provided. So what they're not doing is they know the transactions, but my inclination is a lot of the controllers, they're not really good business people. They're good at giving you the actual results of how the business has performed. But what they're not good at is they're not business people per se as much as they are just purely accountants. So what I would say is the difference is the CFO actually takes the information that is being provided by the accountant and utilizes that strategically to predict on a number line, here's where we're at today, and here's where we can expect to be going forward. And what that could mean is that could mean things related to pure growth, where the business owner will come to the CFO and said, here is our past information. Here's where we're at today. What is this going to look like in the future? And we kind of put on our miner's caps and our crystal balls, and we take a look at past history, which indeed has to be correct because one does not live without the other. And I will take the information from an accountant or a bookkeeper, and I will forecast that going forward and advise the business owner what they may need to do today to ensure that the performance later is actually better, or what they may need to do to decrease expenses, increase revenues, or get additional capital in the business to support the growth that's expected in the future.
Yeah.
So our
So
goal is
if
to help guide the future as opposed
yeah,
to taking the information from the past and utilizing that to our benefit.
and that's how I'd really recap it and sum it up in my head. That is, the controller is present day past. It's
Correct.
bringing you all the historical data to today. But what they cannot do is take that information and begin to utilize it toward the future. And I know I get multipliers members, guys coming to me and say, I have extra cash. How should I utilize that within my business? Things that pertain to forward movement and the future. And with the CFO, that key distinction is the CFO can talk about today and what should be happening moving forward from today with this historical data. That's
Correct.
good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Correct.
It's a good distinction.
What
Well,
I would
Larry,
also
man,
what I would also tell you too, just to bring you into a little bit more, is the CFO is more strategic, because what I hear is, well, why do I need you? I have an accountant. And I think the important distinction there is, if I were probably to say something, have you ever asked your accountant or the person that does your taxes, what is my future going to look like? Usually they can't answer that question. They can't answer the question. So they're putting you in a position where you can actually put a tax return and get a tax return done, that's required for the IRS. But what they can't tell you is, given the past history of things, where do you expect us to be? And provide that strategic guidance to actually grow the business. So that's
yeah.
another key distinction.
And this is what I would say, Larry, to wrap up and what I've noticed, the predominant amount of conversations you and I have financially is almost always about the future, not the past. When I get on with a CPA or bookkeeper, we're always talking about the past. You and I are always focused on the future, and that's how I feel there's such a key distinction between the two roles. Well, Larry, buddy, great talk on this, man. Much appreciated on the difference between a controller and a CFO. All
You bet.
right, man. Thanks.
You bet.